Welcome back, YouTubers, to a No Surrender preview of us, the British Fist.
Coaching.
That promotion, TNA, giving us another pay-per-view. I'm Mr. Parkin. This guy sitting next to me is none other than the Inquisitive one. So not Sir Damien Sandow. It's the next best thing. It's none other than NJ. Subscribe above. Like this video. Comment any thoughts you have going into No Surrender, which is the finals of the BFG series. Down in that comment section below.
Why don't you contact us in the link in the box below?
Yes, interesting pay-per-view we have coming up for TNA. No Surrender. The pay-per-view before Bound for Glory, so it's essentially the elimination chamber of TNA where they're trying their best to set up for Bound for Glory, which is their biggest pay-per-view of the year. And the one thing they have done is they've made the Bound for Glory series a staple part of the TV show as well. And I think it's important here to note that we've had the Bound for Glory series and the Aces and Eights take up a lot of TV time. And while that may have helped in ratings and the entertainment of the show, it's meant that this card hasn't really got a very well built undercard, which has been a bit of a letdown about this pay-per-view.
And that's the problem when it comes to booking, especially on this time of year, not just this year, other years. When it comes to Bound for Glory, that their mind is really focused on making that as entertaining as big as possible. And the other things have to get these little segments so they're still involved in the show, getting their paycheck. It's a bit unfair, but it's all about TNA building up what their biggest pay-per-view of the year.
Exactly, and I will say this, the one thing that I've enjoyed about TNA lately over the last 8 to 10 months and why I've enjoyed it a lot more than WWE in general is because they do have a multi-layered show, and lately TNA has become like an Aces and Eights and Bound for Glory and then what's kind of everything else show. Now, as much as I understand they're putting a lot of focus on their top storylines, there does come a point where I would like to see a more complete product, which is exactly what has got me into TNA. But I will say this, the No Surrender card doesn't look bad. It's just that a lot of it hasn't really been well built to. But the stuff that has been well built to has been well built to, like the Bound for Glory series, for example.
And my concern for this is that with the first few matches we're going to name, they're the ones that have not really been built up the best until we get to the main event part. But I have a big feeling that the Aces and Eights are going to be playing a numerous role backstage throughout this show.
You would think with the amount of, with the amount of TV time they have had and the fact they are the main angle of the TV show, that they will have a lot of involvement. I think it will probably be limited to the Austin Aries match, but that's just me. Do you want to go straight onto this pay-per-view preview? The X Division title match between Zim Iron and Sanjay Dutt. This had no build. This is going to open the card, but it didn't have any build, no TV time. It's a real shame because I think Iron versus Sanjay Dutt could have been a very good built match, in my opinion.
Well, we're getting Iron at a pay-per-view, which is good because he is the X Division champion. Dutt, he just really came out of nowhere because we haven't really seen him on TV apart from this odd segment a few weeks back, but nothing really stands out. So for this match, X Division, yay, but it's not a match that you think, right, this match has had all this happen, we're ready for this match now.
I guess all we can really hope for is in the sense that it's not exactly like a feud match, but I guess what we can expect here is a good wrestling match to start off the show, X Division match. So I'm just hoping that the match does deliver, even though it's had pretty much no build.
Because both these two wrestlers, we've complimented them many times in the past, so we are expecting a good open, a good kick-off. So I'm looking forward to this match for that reason.
Another match we have on the card, interesting one this, Rob Van Dam versus Magnus. And I think it's nice to see that TNA are highlighting Magnus, especially seen as he is going to have a feud with Samoa Joe going into Bound for Glory. I guess my only question here would be, as good as it is for Magnus, will RVD do the job to Magnus?
Well, this match did come out pretty late at the Go-Home show because I'm glad they're bringing Magnus into their shows because we did say from the start he was meant to be the dark horse, the guy that could make his way up after his tag team, how he put his tag team over with Samoa Joe on the Go-Home show. I'm glad they're bringing him up to the show, getting him involved. Rob Van Dam is a big jump from the tag team wrestlers he's been facing, so this could be a good match. But like Dan said, it all depends on the result, on building Magnus up towards Joe. Because if he loses, is that really going to make Magnus look ready for Joe?
Exactly, and that is my point. But like I said, it should be an interesting match to say the least, even with the lack of build that it has. But it's nice to see that TNA are giving Magnus a little bit of TV time, a little bit of screen time, and some pay-per-view time. Hopefully RVD will put him over here, and they'll make Magnus look like $1 million, hopefully, or pounds.
Well, here's my prediction here. The fact that recently Rob Van Dam has been losing a few matches here and there, maybe it's a sign that he's going to tweak and maybe give the Magnus the chance and the win that he needs. So I'm going Magnus.
Us British fans will be behind Magnus, I'll say that. Another interesting matchup with very little build is the Knockout Championship match between Miss Teschmacher and Tara. Now, I like the storyline that they're doing here, the whole student versus teacher thing, but once again, this is another example on this card of a match which I feel was deserving of much better build. I'm glad we're seeing it, but I would have liked to see it at Bound for Glory. In my opinion, it has you know, if you build this up over time, I think this could have been a match which could have meant a little bit more than what it does on this pay-per-view.
You call them teacher and student, but the fact they've also been friends, tag teams, there's a big story behind these two. And yes, they had a match already that was, I think, 3 minutes or something we had.
Yeah.
Really short. It really, like, we've seen this match in 3 minutes. It was a good match for what it was. It was short, and we got Tara picking up the win. The fact that they're redoing it, because Tara thinks she's ready for the championship, it gives them a reason to fight again. But this time, hopefully, she'll get more than 3 minutes.
I mean, if you think about it, it is logical storytelling in the sense that you've had the teacher go over, and now the pupil, who is Miss Teschmacher, the main babyface in the Knockouts division, now has an obstacle to overcome, and she will probably win at the pay-per-view, probably setting up maybe a big match down the line at Bound for Glory between Mickie James and Miss Teschmacher, maybe a four-way, not really sure.
There's a few reports that Mickie James wanted to get back involved. She wanted to be seen as their top knockout. So I'm expecting her to move away back up and give Tess a big match at Bound for Glory, which is the biggest pay-per-view of the year, and Mickie James is worthy of that pay-per-view.
Indeed.
So Mr. Parkin thinks Full Killer is lead the 8 and 8, does he? Well, at No Surrender, I will prove to Mr. Parkin that I am the leader of the 8 and 8. Be prepared, mortals.
What? Why is he pointing me out there? What am I being accused of now all of a sudden? I said Full Killer in a sentence. You know, so what?
I guess it got to him pretty bad because he's one of us, and I don't know, but he says he's going to prove it at the pay-per-view, so let's just hope he does.
I mean, all I said was that Fourth Dimension Full Killer had some good points. I mean, come on. I mean, I've got to be an impartial reviewer here. But anyway, we'll move on from that. So we've got what I feel now is I guess you could say the 5 big matches on this pay-per-view. It's got a decent undercard with a lack of build. But we'll get this one out of the way first. The tag title match between Daniels, Kaz, and AJ and Angle. This, to me, is kind of the same as the Slammiversary match, where it did have kind of little build, but it should at least be a good match for the card, I will say.
I look at this, and straight away, for a long time ago, especially when the stupid Claire Lynch storyline came to an end, straight away I thought, this is not the end. They're bound to have AJ and Daniels somehow fighting off one way or another, and I really thought it was going to be a one-on-one match. Maybe they'll still do that Bound for Glory in result of this match. But I did predict something was going to happen sooner or later. No,
I've heard. I saw an article on TN Asylum talking about how AJ versus Kaz might be booked for Bound for Glory or something like that. We're not really sure if this is going to be there to continue the storyline, but I guess it will. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure who's going to win this match. I guess it's another sort of tag title match with 4 big names in there, which again, like Slammiversary, it highlights the title a little bit, but. Like I said, this match got kind of little build. It is playing off that AJ Styles, Kaz and Daniels storyline a little bit, but I can only imagine that it will lead on to something about for Glory between Daniels, Kaz and AJ Styles.
Well, Angle's obviously just been thrown in because he lost the Bound for Glory series, so that's why they're reuniting AJ and Angle for this pay-per-view, so it kind of came out just there. But I do, fingers crossed here, hope the heels win, because if the face win, you know you're going to get another match involved in this at Bound for Glory or even on free TV, but I'm hoping the heels win here so you don't have a reason to fight again. They could work on another storyline afterwards.
Indeed, and I do hope Daniels and Kaz get a victory. And if anything, this match should just be what it was at Slammiversary. And if it's anything near the quality of Slammiversary, it will be a good match to watch, in my opinion.
Wait, the fact that it's got 3, if you can count Kaz, but 3 great wrestlers who are great performers, can put on great matches. You're expecting this to be a good match. It's just I'm hoping this doesn't have like a swervy ending where it affects the ending of the match, not the match itself, but the ending. But I am predicting that this is going to probably be a follow-on up to Bound for Glory.
I'll say this, Kazarian is a good worker, but he's not the same level of a Daniels, AJ or Angle, which is why Kaz will never really get a proper push in TNA, but that's just me. We then get on to, I guess we should have this discussion first, really. What do you think will be the main event of No Surrender? Will it be the matches we're going to talk about next, the Bound for Glory Series final, or will it be the Austin Aries versus the Ace and 8 thing? Which do you think will be the main event, and what do you think should be the main event?
Okay, well, this again, I'm not going to lie here. They both have good reasons for being the main event. Either one, like the Bound for Glory thinks that's the big pay-per-view coming, but the fact that this is not Bound for Glory, Aries has the rightly point to have the main event, and he's the TNA champion. But if we look at the other way around, the fact that we're going to get a big match to determine this is the final, we can have a stare down between probably Aries and whoever wins the Bound for Glory series in the main event. That's also the main event too, so two sides I see it.
I guess the way I see it is they've spent a lot of time building up the Bound for Glory series, and I always felt that this was the time of year where it should be the main focus because they've spent so much time building this. How much TV time have they spent building up the BFG series now? But at the same time, they've also spent a lot of TV time, and it is the biggest angle in TNA right now, the Aces and 8 storyline. So you can make valid arguments for either being the main event, really, and that is a discussion I guess we'll continue on as we talk about the matches.
And even though at Bound for Glory, we know that Aries can be in the main event there, but if he gets the main event here as well, it is keeping Aries where he belongs in the main event instead of lowering the card.
And I guess it really does depend whether they have some kind of angle going forward, because you generally want the big angle in the main event. So Aries versus Armbreaker could well be the main event if they're going to make an angle from it for the TV show, which will be the rightful main event if you do think about it that way. But we'll talk about the matches now. We did a video a while back saying who we felt could win the BFG series, but you know, times have changed a little bit, and we're going to discuss this again because I feel it's open up for discussion. We have Joe and Hardy, a match which you've just seen on free TV this week, but still should be a good match. Bully Ray versus James Storm should be a pretty good match in my opinion, but who do you have winning this? Who do you really feel out of these four is going to win this BFG series?
Well, they're all four great competitors. I think they've done a really great job highlighting the four people they want to look good, be involved in this pay-per-view. So they all have their right reason to win for different reasons. But as we said, that this pay-per-view is going to be used to build up Bound for Glory, numerous matches. I do think that they're going to pair it off. If you pair each one down, Storm, Rude, Buddy Ray, Abyss or Joseph Parks, Magnus and Joe, so it all leaves Hardy.
Pretty much, and by the process of elimination, it does lead to Hardy. And to be honest with you, even going into the go-home show and the way they set this Hardy up, winning at the last minute to go through, it kind of made me feel that he was going to win, not to mention the fact that I know Hulk Hogan is a big, big fan of Jeff Hardy. And let's face it, guys, let's be honest, Jeff Hardy is a guy that can draw a lot of money for the company. He's had problems. He hasn't really had any problems since the Victory Road incident now. He has rebuilt himself up to a certain degree. So I think Jeff Hardy winning the BFG series could be the right way to go forward if TNA do want to draw some big money. Because let's face it, since James Storm, Bobby Roode, Austin Aries have been main eventing shows and etc., ratings haven't been great. Now, they may need to get to a point where they do think to themselves, you know, we're going to need to push a guy that a casual fan, not necessarily a guy that the internet fans will like. They're probably going to get to a point where they're going to have to think, you know, we're going to have to push a guy that casual fans like a Jeff Hardy, which is why I think Jeff Hardy is definitely going to win this BFG series.
Well, you could say that it's a bit predictable after the elimination we've just done. It could be seen as predictable, but it's still going to be a good match. And also, I still think, even though Dan said he's been fine between then and now, I still think this win is going to help him redeem himself, saying, I'm back in TNA, I've gone through the Bound for Glory, I'm at the top again, I'm back where I belong, I've done it good for the company, I'm back. So I think, in a way, it would do great for Jeff Hardy, but if TNA decides to surprise us and one of the other three win, I wouldn't complain. It just changes what we've just said here.
No, I really wouldn't complain either. Any of these four guys would be very good in the main event of Bound for Glory against Austin Aries. I think that's the great thing about the way they've actually booked this series. I guess a couple of things I do want to address here is, are they going to try and fuel some feuds from this? Maybe have Bobby Roode come out and cost James Storm, highlight that feud, have Magnus come out to distract Samoa Joe or something. I can see that happening. I mean, whether they want to go with the Abyss Bully Ray route, I'm thinking is doubtful right now, as he's been off TV for quite some time. But they could work some storylines into this BFG series, as well as have the winner to try and set up some stuff for Bound for Glory. That is essentially what this pay-per-view is all about.
Pretty much. I'm expecting this, like I said in the other half of this video, they are going to be using this to build up the next pay-per-view, which is okay, because this pay-per-view has been thrown under the bus. So if they're going to use it for the future, then that's a good way of overcoming their problem. Quite
similar to like a Victory Road going into Slammiversary, etc. Or Lockdown, I should say, sorry. So then we get to what we feel will probably be the main event, and that is Austin Aries versus Armbreaker. Not really sure who Armbreaker is. I guess that is the the one thing here, will they have a reveal, some kind of reveal as to who the Aces and Eight this guy is, maybe?
Especially now and Bound for Glory, I think they need to start heading toward the direction where either the leader's going to get revealed or who's actually behind this, who's actually causing all this havoc. So in a way, I wouldn't be surprised if we do get the reveal of someone either on the pay-per-view or the show after.
It will be some kind of payoff, which I think this storyline does need right now, although I kind of feel they'll save the big payoff for the biggest pay-per-view of the year, Bound for Glory. Austin Aries isn't defending his belt. He's been made a focal point of this Aces and Eights storyline now, which you could say is a positive, but Austin Aries not defending his belt. I think a lot of people will have issue with that, but I will say this. If he was defending his belt at this, what is a filler pay-per-view, essentially, with all about the Bound for Glory series, who would he have faced? Because how could they have had someone to face him? Who would have faced him, logically, if you think about it?
They rubbed off the Rude feud quickly with that match. So if they were meant to put the belt on line against Armbreaker,
no, they won't.
I don't think it was needed, but I don't think the belt was needed for this pay-per-view. As much as you would like to see Aries be a fighting champion, the fact that he's here going against the Ace and Eights, which is continuing a big angle for TNA, I have no problem with this.
With the world champion as the focus, which is exactly how it should be, not a guy like Sting who can't really draw any long-term ratings for the company. But if nothing more, even if this match isn't like that good, you would expect Austin Aries to be able to carry a decent match against what is a massive guy. The storyline itself should provide us something. They have to provide us a little something to chew on here, don't they?
I'm expecting a lot to happen in this match. You would expect just like a one-on-one match, just have this as a big fight. But I'm expecting like Hogan, Sting, the other Ace and Eights. If this is the main event, a big rumble at the end or a big involvement would make perfect sense. So the way that this is going, I'm honestly not going to be surprised if this is the main event.
No, I wouldn't be surprised either. And to be honest with you, I think the best way I could describe No Surrender as a whole would be, like many other TNA pay-per-views, not very much build, but some of the matches look pretty good, and it could end up being a pretty interesting, essentially, filler show, especially going into their biggest pay-per-view of the year, Bound for Glory. I do hope that this show sets in motion exactly the bigger feuds they want to have going into Bound for Glory now.
We do sometimes complain if they use a pay-per-view to hype up another pay-per-view, but with this one, the fact that it's been last-minute stuff, I think this one we can look past and just say, as long as they use this to push feuds, push storylines, we can just say they've done their job for this pay-per-view.
So hopefully it'll be an interesting pay-per-view. The Bound for Glory series, some of the matches that have had little build but could still be quite interesting. The Aces and Eights stuff should hopefully keep us captivated. So it could end up being a pretty good pay-per-view, really, if you really think about it.
I can't say there's many matches that I'm just saying, oh, I'm looking forward to this, apart from the Bound for Glory series finals, because we haven't really seen Armbreaker really wrestle, so it's normally the Bound for Glory's final match that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, so leave us your thoughts going into No Surrender, like we said at the beginning, in that comment section below. I have been Mr. Parkin. This guy sitting next to me, because I know you want to see him do it one more time. It's NJ.
What's up?
And yeah, outro, please.
Now, people, thank you very much. This pay-per-view is coming up Sunday. Hopefully you'll enjoy it, because we sure will. We'll do your review, and we don't know what's going to be in our review or beforehand. But for Mr. Parkin and me, NJ, enjoy the pay-per-view. And until next time, YouTubers, goodbye.